Hello and welcome to the 80s. On this episode, we're going to be doing a basic revival. This bike's been sitting for 7 years, but I'll explain really quick. This bike is a 1982 Yamaha Vision XZ550, made for only 2 years in the US. It had a lot of revolutionary things done at the time, such as being liquid cooled, 30-degree cylinders, and also being over square for a production bike, which just means the bore is bigger than the stroke. All in all, it's a great bike, both in what it is model-wise and also this particular example. I got it from the original owner. It has like 5,000 miles on it. He drove it very sparsely, and most of the time it was stored in a climate-controlled environment. Supposedly he stopped riding it because it was leaking oil and coolant, and the last time it was inspected was 2013, or rather the end of 2013. So I'm assuming it was taken off the road between 13 and 14. So I'm super excited to dig into it. The game plan right now for this episode is just to get it clean and running. So right now I'm gonna just roll outside, get it all cleaned up, degreased, whatnot. That way, once it's dry, I can do a full inspection to see what I'm working with, and then we can get messing with this stuff to get it to run. From there, the other episodes, I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I don't know what the goal for the bike is. So I'm just gonna roll it outside real quick. We'll time lapse through it because it's not super interesting, but I'll just get it all cleaned up. Okay, the bike's now dried off. I put a bunch of Marvel in the crankcase. I was just trying to see if it leaks to confirm what the previous owner said, because he said the coolant and oil leaks, but I need to verify that. And since I've cleaned it, that's the best time to monitor it. The coolant is also a mystery. I have no idea if there's coolant in it. And on top of that, the gas tank has a lot of gas in it, which really sucks because it stinks of varnish. I opened it just a second ago and it stinks in here already. The other thing that's a bit of a bummer is I took this cap off and you can see the cap's got a bunch of rust on it. The neck of the tank has rust on it too, but then inside the tank it's been sealed. Another thing that the owner said was that these tanks were known to rust out back in the day. His did, down here in this corner, and it was purge welded professionally, and it looks like they just put putty on top. I don't know if the putty is the sealant or what. That sealant in the tank was probably done at the same time if I had to guess. That all kind of sucks. I really don't want to deal with it, but I have to get that gas out of there no matter what, because I can't be putting that crap gas into the carbs. So we have the fuel petcock right here. Fuel was on, it looks like. This is stuck too. Oh, there it goes. This was previously set on the primary. I don't know which one's off. There's only reserve, primary, fuel, and then on. So I don't know which one's which. Maybe that's off, I don't know. But the fuel was on while it was in storage, which sucks because that means the carbs have that crap fuel in it. Pop this off, it's probably gonna be all dried and uncooperative. Just find out in a second. It's gonna leak, surely. Oh no, okay. I guess the petcock is clogged up. That might be a good thing. Oh wait, it's a vacuum setup. Okay, so we're gonna pop this vacuum line off. Fingers crossed this thing actually opens up with vacuum, because I don't want to deal with draining this tank manually. Nope, it's clogged. Cool. I'm going to try to drain the coolant and oil out of it real quick, but I wanted to see if I can get the seat off first to see if I can find the battery to get the battery in charge. As bad as it sounds, getting the seat off is always the part that confuses me the most. Getting the seat to open up is an absolute nightmare to me. So, oh, there we go. There's a latch back here as well. This tells me nothing. Where's the battery? I have no idea where the battery's at. There's a fuse panel. Oh, with the old ass glass tubes and a spider web. I don't think this comes off. I guess I'm gonna pull this side cover off and maybe the other side. I don't know. This stuff is a mystery to me. Oh, there's the battery. I'm sure it's toast. Let's get it out of there anyway and put it on charge and see what happens. I'm not even gonna bother to try cranking it right now because I have no idea how much oil is in it or if the oil is even any good. So I'd rather just get it out of there now. Can't really see it, but right here, there's a drain plug and it's 19 millimeter. It seems to have oil in it aside from what I put in it. So there's a little glass viewer right here. It doesn't seem to have a level on it. So either I put too much in it or it's totally empty. I can't tell, but we're just gonna pop this off real quick and see what happens. That stinks of fuel. Shit. Shit. I need another drain pan. Good thing this floor is fuel resistant. Like all of the fuel is in the oil. Let's put that aside. If that's any insight as to how much oil this thing takes, it takes approximately 18.5 quarts of oil. So I'm guessing one of the floats is sunk and it just dumped fuel into the cylinder. I'm really happy I didn't crank it this way. That's not what I expected. So this pan here is a 5-quart pan, and this one here I think is a 11-quart pan, and that one's full and this one's like a quarter full. So it was probably like 8 or 9 quarts of oil and gas. I don't know what level on the engine that was, but that's definitely not good for seals and stuff. That sucks, and now my garage stinks of varnish. The battery charged and seems to have power to everything, and all the lights and everything work, so that's really cool. I got the last of the oily fuel mixture out of the crankcase and have since put in fresh oil. It's gonna be sacrificial again because everything in there is contaminated with gasoline. I got the tank off, got the tank cleaned. Well, rather, I got the crappy fuel and stuff out of it. Took the petcock off, cleaned that up. It's going to leak. There's like no way the seals are gonna hold again. They're way past it. Pretty much every rubber line in the bike is perished and needs to be replaced. The front cylinder was the one that was dumping fuel. So we have 1 carb per cylinder. They're like downdraft style. I don't really know how that bowl setup works, but I'm pretty sure we have a sunk bowl because it just flooded the front cylinder. I got the front brakes bled just because I felt like it. Again, as you'd expect for anything that's been sitting for a long time, it was also disgusting. So put new fresh fluid in and bled the front. Aside from the tune-up stuff, I'm gonna do the spark plugs. They look pretty tired. The air filter looks fine. Looking at the valve covers gaskets, they're cracked, so I'm sure they're gonna leak. So that's a thing to contend with. And there's only a few other things that need to come out of the way to do valve cover gaskets. And then also while I'm there, I can also check the valve lash and adjust that as necessary. There's really not a lot of information for this bike, so I'm kind of going blind with a lot of it. I got the radiator cap off. There's grime on the little spring, but the seals look okay, and the system's still full, which doesn't really jive with what he was saying about how it was leaking coolant, but there's like crap on the surface of the coolant, so I don't know if it's contaminated. Either way, I'm going to remove what's in here because I have no idea how old that coolant is. I don't know if it's even the right coolant. That way I can trust that the stuff I put back in it is right. And I'm going to pull one of the lower hoses there and we'll see what comes out. Hopefully it looks just like this. Chances are the little water pump down there is going to have the worst crap in it. I'm not sure if this is the water pump or if it's the oil filter. Either way, I'm going to remove it and see what happens. I'm gonna pretend like this was intentional. I'm gonna take the oil filter out real quick. There's oil in it right now, but I can already smell the fuel. It doesn't look super bad actually. So I'm not sure how well you can see that, but in the lowest portion of this oil filter housing, there's crap, which is to be expected. I'm gonna go ahead and just clean this up and put it back together for now and then order a filter. Got it on there. Put this all back together and pretend like that was intentional this entire time. I don't know what it is, but there's a bolt here on the bottom, looks like a drain bolt. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that. It looks like a 19 mil. And then we should be able to drain the system entirely. I just wanna say before I forget, I looked up the oil capacity of this engine and it's supposed to be only 3 quarts of 1040 motorcycle, wet clutch specific oil. And it had like 7 or 8 or more quarts in it. And most of that was gas. So I don't think it was up to the pistons. I think it was probably up to the side cases, which is not good, but it could have been worse. If it comes to doing rings or something, like we'll just cross that bridge when we get to it. Should take bets on what it looks like. Oh, it looks pretty good. Interestingly enough, the radiator is still full, so there's probably a thermostat in here and it's probably blocking the coolant from flowing. So I'm gonna pull this lower hose and then drain the radiator out. And then that should be most of the system. It's gonna make a mess, but whatever. So yeah, I would say maybe like half a gallon, somewhere in there. I'll have to look up the spec since I don't have the owner's manual. Well, it drained most of the fuel again, so that sucks. So I'm gonna just try to start up real quick and see what we got. It's also leaking fuel, so that's cool. Try number whatever for starting it. I let the battery charge some more. not when idle. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but still smoking a decent bit, and also up the tailpipe. Seeing that I'm staying right over the carbs, I can actually smell the old fuel in the carb, even though I think it's just varnish like residue. It wasn't actual varnish. In any case, hopefully just running it helps it out. Okay, now that it's up to temperature, I'm gonna drain it out and then also change the filters because I'm hoping I can get a majority of the contaminants out this way. I'm not super optimistic about this oil change, but we'll just change it real quick and see what happens, I guess. Yeah, pretty good. Still clear-ish and smells of fuel, but hopefully that's most of the contaminants. In case you need it, the part number for the filter I'm using is KN145, and they're held in with 3 5mm Allen keys. Yeah, decent amount of oil in there. Oil changes, how exciting. And I've lost a bolt. Okay, so I'm actually really happy with how this has turned out so far. But the previous owner said a bunch of things were broken and not working. Pretty much everything he said was broken isn't. So like the odometer supposedly doesn't work, and the oil apparently leaks and the coolant leaks. But it doesn't leak oil, it doesn't leak coolant, the odometer works. So why did he stop driving it? I ended up paying $275 for it, which I think is a steal. I was expecting a lot to be wrong, and I was thinking worst case I could just steal a bunch of parts off of it for other projects, like the engine, which would be cool to be on something else. But at this point I'm just gonna do maintenance, and that'll be for the next episode. So I'm gonna pull the carbs, clean them up, and get all the perishable stuff like fuel lines, vacuum lines, coolant lines, all that stuff replaced. Get the valve covers off, replace the seals because I can see they're worn out. And also while it's all apart, I'll check the valve lash and also check the timing. As you saw in the starting the first couple times, it didn't want to start and it kept backfiring out the carb, which made me think that the timing was off a little bit. And then from here, I really don't know. Like, I don't know what I want to do with it, but I don't know if I want to build it into like an 80s monstrosity or if I want to knock the 80s off of it and make it more stylish or what. Like, I have no idea. So we'll save that for another episode. But for now, we'll just call it here. With all that being said, thanks for watching and stay tuned. Oh, thanks, airplane. Just broke up my footage. Wait for the neighbor to fuck off. I don't know what all that smoke's about. No idea.